Hello and welcome back to the channel. In April we went to Japan, and this is an overall video of the trip where we went to Tokyo, Osaka, Nara, Hiroshima, Miyajima Island and Kyoto. There is already some videos out now which you can check out in the playlist linked below, and there is definitely more on the way. This was our first trip to Japan, and we started in Tokyo, landing at Narita Airport. We made our way to Tokyo Station, and after a little confusion, made our way to our hotel for the night. No footage as we were trying to get our bearings and got lost a lot. The next day we woke up nice and early to get the bullet train to Osaka. Our first stop in Osaka was the Osaka Aquarium, where they have whale sharks. We were spending 2 nights in Osaka, and we stayed at I Am Hotel, which was a neat little business style hotel. More about them in the Osaka video, coming soon. Our first night we spent exploring Dotonbori in the rain. The next day we headed to Nara for a day trip. Nara was the capital of Japan between 710 and 794 and has some gorgeous historic buildings. And deer. Vicious, vicious deer. Nara has a lot of gorgeous gardens that you can walk through between each shrine, and it is just a generally pleasant place to be. Tadachi Shrine is one of my highlights, and I definitely recommend going there. This is where the giant sitting Buddha is that almost bankrupts Nara back in the day. Whilst there is a lot of tourists and you will be waiting a lot in line, it is definitely worth the visit. My other highlight is Kasuga Taisha Shrine, which sells little fortunes with deer figurines, which was very adorable, but all the lanterns as well, and just it was a generally peaceful area to be in, which was great after some of the other shrines were in which you're packed in like a sardine. Next, we briefly left Osaka for a couple of days to head to Hiroshima. For our first day, we spent it at the Hiroshima Peace Park and Museum. You can't film in the museum, so here's some lovely footage of the gardens that expand all the way up to the A-bomb dome. Whilst we were in Hiroshima, we stayed at the Knot, which was a pretty new hotel. Very lovely furnished. I'll talk about it a bit more in the Hiroshima video. The next day we headed to Miyajima Island. We caught the train out to the ferry terminal and then caught the JR ferry across to the island. Once you get to the island, it's pretty easy to see why the island is very popular with both local tourists and international tourists. It is very serene and the forestry is just gorgeous. If you are looking to climb Mount Missen, make sure you have good solid shoes, you take enough water, and you feel comfortable during the trip. It is a very long trip, it is longer than what is signposted, and you definitely need to be a strong walker. We found ourselves back in Osaka again, but this time for Universal Studios. So we were planning to stay 2 nights here and we spent them at the park front. Again, I'll talk about that a bit more in the Osaka video as well. It is definitely worth lining up early before the posted opening times for a Universal Studio, or you are not going to get into the more popular areas such as Super Nintendo World and the Harry Potter World. I mean, you can always buy a fast pass, but hey, who wants to spend money where you don't need to? We got to Mario Kart pretty close to opening, and we spent about 45 minutes in line. That said, the line ride is so well designed, you will not be bored at all. There's so many little decorations and details that come from the Mario Kart universe. It is just so much fun to look around and find things. We then had our breakfast in Kinopio's cafe, which the food was really good for theme park food. It was now time to move on to the rest of the park, and we found for the rest of the day it was quite easy to get on rides with minimal wait times. This is because, as well as Mario Kart and Yoshi's Island ride, the other most popular ride are the ones that are in Harry Potter World, and we weren't really interested in going. I really enjoyed the Jurassic Park ride. It was really good fun, and it reminded me of some of the splash rides that I'd gone on in SeaWorld and Dreamworld in Australia. Really enjoyed all the animatronics as well and all the theming around it. My next favourite was also Jaws, a firm favourite, and it was very cool to get a picture with the big shark hanging out the front of the area. Another highlight was the No Limit Parade. This was brand new for April. I think it started maybe a couple of weeks before we got there. Absolutely loved it. Everyone's bopping along. Really enjoyable time, even in the rain. It was now time to leave Osaka and go to Kyoto, where we first went on the Sagano Romantic Train. You get to follow the Hosogawa River, which was really enjoyable, especially with all the spring foliage. We missed Sakura season, but still it was a very pleasant experience. We spent the rest of the day wandering around Arashiyama, going to the bamboo forest. We went and saw the Arashiyama Bridge, and we also saw the kimono forest as well. There's lots of little shops that you can buy omiyage or souvenirs to take home, as well as sit down and rest your feet. You're going to do a lot of walking in Kyoto, and you need to be prepared to find places to sit down and rest when you can get them. For our second day in Kyoto, we started off at Kinkakuji, which was a beautiful golden building that you just see as you come around this gorgeous garden. We then went to Silver Pavilion and followed it all the way through the Philosopher's Path to Nenzenji Temple. There's lots of little temples and shrines all throughout the path, so definitely worth stopping to check them out. While we stayed in Kyoto, we stayed at Minmaru Kyoto Shinmachi Sanjo, which was a really good mix of Western and Japanese rooms. On the third day of us being in Kyoto, we decided to explore a little bit more. First off, we started at the manga museum, which was really good. Couldn't get any footage, but that's just how it goes sometimes. We then also went to Kaninji, which is a Buddhist temple that had absolutely gorgeous art. We also ended up at Osaka Shrine, which was absolutely gorgeous. It was raining when we arrived, which kept the crowds down as well. Especially in this part of Kyoto, there's a lot of tourists, but we found as soon as the rain started, people would just disappear. For our fourth day in Kyoto, we spent some time at Fushimi Inari Shrine. Now, don't get here expecting that you will avoid crowds. Even if you get here at 7 AM, if it's raining, you're always going to run into a crowd. What I've read online and seen online is like if you get there before sunrise or after sunset, you may see no one, but it's not always a sure thing. If you are going to take photos there, please make sure you're not inconveniencing the other tourists around you. There was a lot of Westerners that thought it was well and truly okay to set up tripods and things like that and just block everyone. Be conscious of where you are, be conscious of other people around you, and just be a good person when you travel. We also headed to Kiyomizu-dera, which had a gorgeous view of the city from the viewing platforms. Our first day back in Tokyo was spent at the Tokyo Disney Resort, finding our way around and heading to our hotel, which was the Hilton on Tokyo Bay. The next day we went to Tokyo Disneysea, which was a really interesting eclectic mix of steampunk and futuristic sort of theming and rides, and a couple of the traditional, what you'd normally see at Disney rides. For the third day back in Tokyo, we spent it in Osaka, getting used to the area as we were staying here for the rest of the trip. We spent a lot of time at the market on the lead up to Sensoji Temple and exploring the area. For the final leg of our trip, we stayed at Asakusa Tobu Hotel and we had a beautiful view of Sensoji Temple and the Don Quixote. And that night we were booked in to go to the Pokemon Cafe, which was really cool. We didn't get to hang around to see which mascot would come out and meet and greet, but it was a really cool experience and I enjoyed it. For our fourth day in Tokyo, we headed to Kichijoji to walk through the gorgeous park to Mitaka, where we found the Studio Ghibli Museum. We were one of the first groups to go through the museum for the day. You're not allowed to film, but here is some footage of the outside. The next day we headed out to Odaiba to spend our day exploring. We had tickets to Team Lab Planets, which was absolutely a thrill for the senses. You walk through a water part and then you go into like a 3D audio-visual experience, and then you have this alien-like garden. It's just beautiful. We also went to Small Worlds, which is in Odaiba. That is a miniature museum. It also has a miniature model of Tokyo and also of Kansai Airport, and also Sailor Moon like tableaus and Evangelion, which is really cool. On day 6, we headed to Yokohama to go to the Cup Noodle Factory, which was really cool. You're greeted with a massive wall of all the noodles that have been created or once sold in Japan. You also have the opportunity to make your own cup noodle, which you'll see a video of maybe in November. The next day we headed out to Shibuya to have a look around and see Hachiko being the goodest boy out the front of the station. We also headed to the Pokemon store and the Capcom store for a bit of a look around, before we headed to Harajuku and Takeshita Street, which was scary. Do not go there on a Sunday. Try and go there in quieter times, so during the school hours. We were very lucky and managed to get a table at the Pom Pom Purin Cafe. The food was adorable, the decor was amazing, and it was probably one of my favourite experiences as far as like the character cafes were. Our last 3 full days in Tokyo, we spent trying to not injure ourselves. We were already pretty injured and covered in blisters. I ended up with a migraine as well, so we were going to try and take it chill. We hung out in Ueno a little bit, but we also went to the Skytree and checked out the aquarium. The Sumida Aquarium was very cool and told a lot about the history about goldfish and their link to Japan, especially Tokyo, which was very... That night we also went up to the Skytree viewing observation deck, which gave a wonderful panoramic view of Tokyo. For our last day, we headed out to Ikebukuro to hang out at Sunshine City, specifically Sunshine Aquarium. They have a really cool setup where it looks like the penguins are flying over your head, and there's also lots of perspex around, so the seals and pelicans can chill out in different parts of the outside of the park. It was very cool and a very chill way to spend my last day in Tokyo, or our last day in Tokyo and in Japan. We had a lot of fun and we're already planning our next trip there. We were planning it at the airport, which is really exciting. I hope you enjoyed today's video. There is more Japan content coming soon, and there will also start being a mix of our usual stuff, so cooking and Tasmania content coming back to the channel as well. So if you want to see more of our content, make sure you subscribe, and thank you very much for watching.